Hello everyone and welcome to Opinionated. This morning I read this GameSpot article and it's baffling how Square have gone from being a powerhouse game developer to this disarrayed mess. I think things started with Final Fantasy XIII. It was a divisive game, the Fibula Nova series arc never fruitioned, which leads into the extremely extrapolated development time for Final Fantasy XV, which was supposed to be part of Fibula Nova. Then there's Kingdom Hearts 3, which debuted in 2013 and was delayed repeatedly until 2019. There were some successes, Final Fantasy XIV for instance, which was horrible, but then they went back to the drawing room and revamped it and re-released it as The Amazing Realm Reborn, which became a highly successful and enduring game. But you can't deny 2010 through to 2020 wasn't smooth sailing for the publishing house. Long development times carry big costs. For instance, let's look at Kingdom Hearts. It sold 6.3 million copies. Kingdom Hearts 2 sales dropped off to 5.2 million, and 3, which spent the best part of 10 years in development, barely beat out the original Kingdom Hearts with sales figures in the region of 6.7 million. 10 years in development, when it only took 3 years to get Kingdom Hearts 2 out. That's blatant mismanagement. They wasted tons of money on a game that clearly from the sales data has limited growth. It's inexcusable, it wasn't a new IP. Besides the mainline titles, there were spin-offs, none of which sold amazing numbers. The team involved in commissioning and budgeting projects failed here miserably. Then these last 5 years have been facepalm after facepalm for the company, chasing the NFT market just as that gold rush was fading, selling IDOS to Embracer for a pittance of what it was worth. I mean, they had bankable titles. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the weaker of the trilogy, sold over 4 million copies by the end of 2018, and at last count, December 2021, it was almost at 9 million. Worst of all, in my opinion, was spending God knows how much to get the soft licensing to Marvel to make some forgettable live service game. Square has spent the last few years being the butt of jokes and memes in gaming circles. And now we learn they're cancelling various projects to an eye-watering $140 million. I assume that figure covers the development costs to date plus the expected sales projections, so it's overinflated. But the line that has me raising my eyebrow is focus on fewer but higher quality titles, and focus on higher budget games. Some people might be wondering why that's got me concerned. Because it's high stakes gambling, each individual game is going to need to sell like 8 to 10 million to stay green. Where's the safety net? When Ford make cars, they don't just make a load of Mustangs worth 100k, they have cheaper models like the Focus that sell consistently well to keep them afloat. This is what a game company needs, some cheaper to make games that are still enjoyable and sell reasonably well that help to cover for the big budget stuff if the wind turns the other way. Which leads me to my next point, that they'll lean heavily into AI for game production, naturally to mitigate costs. Despite the fact audiences are still not keen on this kind of content from a value perspective, and I'm highly skeptical that AI's involvement will improve the end product. There are other, simpler and more reliable methods for generating income. I'm loath to say this, I feel dirty just thinking it, but custom skins. I wonder how many people would pay for, say, a Kingdom Hearts Cloud skin for Rebirth. You could probably sell it for $10 in a pack that includes a custom Buster Sword, which has the exclusive Braver Plus ability, which bestows bravery on Cloud with each use, or Tifa in her Advent Children outfit, which increases her Kai level every 10 seconds in battle. Not game-breaking stuff, just optional extras. Resident Evil 4 had several guns locked behind a paywall, but I didn't mind, and I didn't hear too many people making a stink as the guns weren't exceptional, and none of the original weapons were locked behind the paywall. Speaking of Resident Evil, Square could copy some of their other microtransactions. £5 to be at max level for people too lazy to grind, or all the materia at the beginning of the game. As long as these kind of paid perks don't affect the experience for non-buyers, they're pretty forgivable. A bit more pricey but possibly lucrative if done right are expansion packs, but decent stuff not £15 for an hour-long campaign, of which is just running through the original game backwards. I'm looking at you, Dead Space 2 Severance. I couldn't find sales data for Final Fantasy VII Remake's Intermission DLC. I'm curious to know if it turned a profit and how much. But how about this for Rebirth? Would it be a good idea to release DLC where you play as Zack? Fill in the gaps from the main game. The Midgar maps are already built, they have all the assets they need, and Zack is fully functional. Make it last around 10 to 15 hours and charge £20? I'd buy it. I'm curious to know if other people would buy expansion packs like this as well. And lastly, they need to slacken their exclusivity with Sony. That would help sales as well. I'd like to know the split between PlayStation and Steam sales for Remake. If it released on Xbox, how would that affect sales? I imagine there would be at least 1 to 2 million in Xbox buyers alone, which isn't a negligible figure. I'm still confused why the Xbox was shunned for Remake and Rebirth, but got the Crisis Core remake. Xbox didn't even get the Pixel remasters. It's a really bizarre business choice. Also, Square's stock price dropped due to Final Fantasy XVI's lower than expected sales, and is it any wonder when almost a year later I still haven't seen a mention of it even coming to PC, and that's a huge market these days. It's like they have an aversion to money. I'm not a business analyst or anything, I'm just a guy with a gripe who's old enough to see the video games go from an industry that knew the bottom line, that the profits and the growth was in the selling of the games and the making of bankable franchises. But as the industry grew, more and more people accessed video games, and genres like first-person shooters and battle royale exploded into money pits. Creativity slowed, the speed of new franchises appearing dwindled as the game publishers all wanted their own Fortnite or Call of Duty. Live service game after live service game rolled out and burned. Only a few managed to get a foothold, but they're competing with games people have invested thousands in cash and time to. Ultimately, my point is that the problem with Square and other publishers is they don't make games anymore. They hold assets. New games are made so that an asset holds its value. There's no incentive to make a new franchise because a new IP would have little value as an asset. Publishers and devs are being gobbled up by larger companies at a staggering rate. Everything has a price now. Just look at Activision. Stock price dropped and it was on the market faster than you can say shred those HR files. Anyway, that's all I have to say on the matter for now. As always, thanks for watching.